Going into reflex number 2. Reflex number 2, we're going to discuss the complex numbers on a coordinate plane. So here we have a horizontal line and a vertical line. The horizontal is representing the real axes, and then the vertical is representing the imaginary axes. So we're going to write each coordinate that's going to be shown on the coordinate grid as a complex number as a plus bi. So we have our first one, which is point A. We have 2 comma I, and that's point is going to be represented as 2 plus I. We have another point, B, negative 1 comma 3I. That point is represented as negative 1 plus 3I. So we always take the sign that's in front of our coordinate. We have C, which is 4 comma 0. And so that point is represented as 4 plus 0I, which is just the number 4. Then we have point D, which is negative 3, negative 4I. That point is represented as negative 3, negative 4I as my complex number. Then we have point E, which is on the negative 3 of the imaginary axes. And that's going to represent as a coordinate of 0, comma, negative 3I. So that point, E of 0, comma, negative 3I is represented as 0 minus 3I. And we could just write negative 3I. Alright, let's begin our exercises. So number 1. We're given our coordinate plane with the imaginary axes and the real axes. It says here, plot the points that represent the following numbers. We have this complex number of negative 3 plus 3i. Well, we know that our point would be negative 3, comma, 3i. So in order for us to plot that, we're going to go to negative 3 on my real axes, just like we would do on a normal coordinate plane. And then we're going to go 3 up, so then my point would be right here. I'm just going to label it A, just so we have a little labeling. Then we have I, so that's going to be, we don't have a real number, so the real number gets 0, and then we have just I. And we have like a imaginary 1 in front, right? So we have 0, we're going to go to I, so it's going to be on the imaginary axis. And we can label this one B, we'll label this one B as well. Our next one is negative 5I, so that's going to be 0, negative 5I as my coordinate. And then we're going to graph that one also. It's going to be on my imaginary axes. So we go to 0, and we're going to go straight down to negative 5. And that one we'll label C. And those are my 3 points for the complex numbers. Okay, exercise number 2. Again, we have the coordinate plane. We have the imaginary axes. We have the real axes. A and B represent complex numbers. Find the imaginary part of A plus B according to the coordinate plane. So we have point B here, and that's going to be, it's on the imaginary axes, so we have 0, comma, 4i. We have point A here, this is going to be 2, 2i. So then therefore, let's represent those points as complex numbers. So A is going to be, we have 2, 2i, that's going to be represented as 2 plus 2i. Then we have B, which is 0, comma, 4i, that's going to be represented as 0 plus 4i. So therefore, if we want to add these two together, we're going to have 2 plus 6i. My imaginary part is just the number 6. Problem number 3, we have the imaginary axes again. That's my y. And then we have the real axes here as my horizontal line. So a represents a complex number. Find the value of a to the 23rd value according to the coordinate plane. So we want to find our point, which is 0, comma, negative 3i. So our point A is 0, comma, negative 3i. And so therefore, the complex number is 0 minus 3i. So we could just write it as negative 3i. So we're going to replace this in placement of A. So we have negative 3i to the 23rd power. And then we're going to distribute. So we have negative 3 to the 23rd. And we could just put this in parentheses. We have I to the 23rd power. So we're going to look at, to evaluate the I to the 23rd power, we're going to divide it by 4. So we're going to replace this with I. We know 4 times 5 plus 3. So that's going to be I to the 3rd power times negative 3 to the 23rd power. So we know that this is going to give us negative I. So we have negative 3 to the 23rd times negative I, which is going to leave us with 3 to the 23rd times I.